right, so let's just go ahead and recap this workout. You know exactly what you did, the movements. You know, usually like. So the one thing I did notice is that when you're warming up, you'll build up to a weight. When you build up to that weight, it seems like you're only doing just a few reps in between 2 to 3. Like I noticed with the deadlifts.
Yeah.
Why so little? Why so few? And then,
well, the whole premise behind a power movement is to get that max effort lift out. So when I talk about resources, I mean fuel. Resources meaning fat and carbohydrates, primarily carbohydrates, glucose, glycogen in the muscle. We don't want to burn up any of our resources working up to a max effort, or we're not going to get as much out of that max effort. The whole point in pyramiding up is to acclimate your nervous system, basically potentiate your nervous system to the weight, so that as you go up, your nervous system becomes more and more efficient. It fires harder and harder. That way your nervous system is firing and calling upon the max amount of muscle fibers in that top set. Because that top set is all that matters. Although all the sets leading up to it, all the pyramid sets, don't matter. That top set matters. So I'll do 2 or 3 reps, put it down. 2 or 3 reps of the next weight, put it down. Just to let my body feel the weight, get my nervous system acclimated to the weight, and then I go up. The only set that I go all out on is the top set. That's when I go to failure and give it everything I've got. That's the one that's going to create the most stimulation and either maintain or build the most amount of muscle. If I would waste one energy on the previous sets, then I wouldn't get the most out of that top set. So that's what I'm focusing on with my power movements.
so is there a time where there's ever hypertrophy done with a power movement? Because a lot of guys seem to think that should be.
Well, absolutely. You can get hypertrophy from using power movement. You use them in a higher rep range with a constant tension fashion. However, you're going to get the most amount of hypertrophy stimulating myofibrils with heavy weight and progressively getting stronger. Metabolic stress, which would be a higher rep range, can always be done later in the workout. But if you do that first, you're depleting resources and you're not going to get the most strength workout you can. So you do it in the proper order. Off season, I'll do all my workouts will look like this, except there will be more volume work on the tail end because I'll be better fed and I'll let intra-workout shake loaded with carbohydrates.
Okay, so instead of doing that EAA mix, you'll be doing carbolic.
Well, I'll be doing that EAA mix with Carbolin and Gatorade.
Got it.
So it'll be fueled, and what you just saw me do with the T-bars and the dip machine, I'll be able to do a lot more and a few more exercises as well. And those are going to be fast-paced metabolic rate. So I'm still doing higher rep range. It's just I'm doing my power work first. Some days are just power days. Other days are a combination of both. Other days are a combination of metabolic stress or focused on volume, which would be metabolic stress. So it's important to always change it up. Keep the body guessing, hitting different angles, different stimulus, so that your body doesn't adapt. Muscle growth is simply an adaptation by the body to protect itself. And the more adaptive it becomes, the more it resists that growth. So you have to fight to keep it non-adaptive if you don't want it to. You always want to keep surprising it, keep damaging it, keep challenging it, so that it has to adapt to that new stimulus. And that's how we keep ourselves growing. And that's why we're always changing. You're never doing the same type of workouts over and over. If there was a one-size-fits-all, somebody would have wrote that book and made billions. There's not. So today, I was well fed, rested. My power work's very important to keep me strong, keep me big, like I mentioned. So I got that out of the way first. Did heavy Smith bench, which was safe. Heavy rack deads. I could have gone home after that and have had a good workout. I could have just done that, and I would have had a good workout. But I did a little extra. Everything else is icing on the cake. So like I said, now probably Thursday I'll come back for just chest without the power movements. Friday I'll come back for just back without the power movements, and then Monday is probably going to be power movements again.
How many off days is that you take a week? Does that vary, or is that always the same?
Off days in contest prep goes by how I feel. because the more work I do, the more I can eat. And the more recovery I can get out of the body, the more fed I can keep my body. But if I'm beat up like I was on the weekend from legs on Friday, I will take a day or two off because I'd just be moving backwards if I were to come to a train in that state. So you gotta know when to take off and when not to. Now off season, there's a lot more off days because you wanna use all those calories to grow. So you get into the gym, stimulate growth, and feed it and rest it. So off season, I'll train 3 to 4 days. During prep, I'll train from 5 to 7 days, depending on how I feel. Tomorrow morning is gonna be fasted shoulders. The following day is gonna be legs. The following day is gonna be chest. The following day is gonna be back. Then I'll decide if I'm gonna train on Saturday.
So with that mix, if you could break down the things that you had put in there and what each thing does and why you use those only during your intra and during contest prep, or what it does for you during contest prep versus with carbolic during the off season.
Well, the carbohydrates obviously are going to be your fuel. They'll fuel your workout. So removing that makes your body search for another fuel source. Trying to burn out body fat, get a little leaner. I was fueled when I started the workout. I was locked and loaded with glycogen, so I didn't need to put any more in. The EAAs are essential amino acids. Free form, which means your body doesn't have to break them down. You're not drawing blood to the digestive tract. It's always just being readily absorbed. That's important. You don't have to break anything down. You don't want to draw blood to your digestive tract away from the muscles when you're working out. So everything has to be broken down into its simplest form. Hence the Pepto Pro, which is a hydrolyzed casein. Hydrolyzed meaning broken down into dientripeptides. Simpler form, further broken down in amino acids, so that your body can readily absorb them without having to break them down. Now, the volumizers would be your agmatine, your norvaline, glycerol, citrulline malate, beta-alanine to buffer lactic acid to help form carnosine, so that we can buffer more byproduct out of the muscle from training, so that the muscle can recover better. Creatine for ATP synthesis as well as hydration for recovery. More hydration in the muscle, more leverage, the stronger the muscle is. The healthier the muscle is, the better it's going to recover, the more weight you're going to lift, the more you're going to be able to sustain during the workout. So I use all those volumizers in place of carbohydrates. They're really not necessary if you're having a diet heavy in carbohydrates, but they are at this point, especially also the fact that I'm taking a lot of stimulants, which are also vasoconstrictors, so I need vasodilators to help counteract that effect. Otherwise it would be very constricted, not get good contractions of blood flow, nutrient delivery, and good pumps, or hydration. So I have to counteract that a little bit. There's a lot of thinking that goes behind this, and it's a little bit different for everybody else than it would be for me. So it's a case-by-case basis, but that's the gist of it.